We're good? We are. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining us here. Before I start my presentation, I just want to flag that the entire event is going to be observing the 2-minute silence at 11 o'clock. So an alarm will go off. Either myself or Ulyana will stop mid-flow. We'll take 2 minutes and then pick up again. So thank you for joining us in that moment. It's brilliant to be here. My name's Rue. I'm the country manager for Waze here in the UK. And we're here to talk to you about how a small community project became a global brand thanks to the work we do with our users, our partners and our volunteers who have built Waze with us. Now, as a dad, I don't mind admitting that I hate asking for directions when I'm driving. And that's why all dads love Waze. It's because it harnesses all the knowledge in the universe. Well, the roads. But essentially, bringing all that information together in one handy app so that I feel smarter, even if my kids beg to differ. But Waze is not just for dads. Waze is a company with a core mission to end traffic altogether. We were founded on that simple belief that by working together, we can help everyday people in that most irritating moment of their day, the commute. The simple fact is, traffic is literally killing us. It's bad for the environment, it's bad for the economy, it's bad for your blood pressure, it's giving me extra grey hairs, and it is on us, all of us, to change that trajectory. So how do we do it? We do it through our worst kept secret, community. Our powerful network of users, volunteers and partners and advertisers that work with us hand in hand to end traffic. So our drivers are already using voice commands to register alerts for potholes, road incidents, road closures on the road, helping all other Wazers as they're driving in real time to help people save time and avoid hazards. It creates the most up-to-date map in the world. It's brand loyalty. This contribution is brand loyalty that you rarely see anywhere else. From alerting other road users to accidents and potholes and so on, millions of drivers are helping others to avoid delays and so on. They regularly know what's happening before first responders or local councils because it's happening in the moment, real time. The second piece of the puzzle are our universe of volunteers. We have literally tens of thousands of volunteers giving up their time to help update the map in real time. They're working with local authorities, city partners to make sure that in advance we have awareness of road closures, major events that are happening. Anything that's going to happen that's going to impact on traffic is already pre-built into the map experience, and that is done by our community of map editors in 185 countries around the world. Not only that, but they're testing our app and adding driving restrictions and real-time closures in their local areas. This is why Waze feels hyper-local, because it is literally somebody in your neighborhood that is updating the map with that local knowledge. As alluded to, we also work with over 2,000 city partners around the world, local authorities, construction firms, highways agencies. We offer our data to them for free in order that they can make their cities function more smoothly. In return, they give us all the information about major sporting events, road closures, construction works, anything that's going to impact the map or that requires an update to the map. We get that in return so that the map, again, is as smooth and up-to-date as possible. Partners like Transport for London, National Highways, or Transport for West Midlands means I can travel from my home in Kent to my mother-in-law's in Solihull, near to here, with as smooth a journey as possible. It's a journey that is, of course, stressful enough already. We're also all about making that journey time as fun as possible, making it as interesting and stress-free. We do this in part with our product partnerships. As you can see here, partnerships through, for example, our audio player which allow streaming services like Amazon, YouTube Music, Spotify. We brought on Audible recently, so that you can listen to your favorite tunes or stories whilst you're driving without having to take your phone away from the navigation experience. It means I can listen to Queen while I'm dropping my kids off at school, much to their chagrin, of course. And if you're wondering, it is, of course, listening to Don't Stop Me Now as I'm approaching a level crossing. I thought that was funny as well. So now that you understand the work we do with users, with partners, with volunteers, I wanted to just take a closer look about how we actually make that happen. It is, of course, working hand in hand with brands and advertisers, which is our sole revenue stream into the business. One reason that we've been able to reach such a high number of users and partners is because the app itself is free. That's thanks to the work that we do with advertisers that affords us the opportunity to end traffic, to have this fresh map experience. But it allows businesses to highlight local information relevant to where they are in proximity to where their businesses lie, that is helpful information at the moment users really find it of interest in their regular days. For example, if you're heading to the high street for some Black Friday shopping, Kia are able to let you know that just parking up in the parking lot for 30 minutes will get you 200 kilometers worth of drive. Or it might be Pendragon highlighting some offers so that you can go to their nearest dealership to buy that new Hyundai, a new set of wheels, or really splashing out on Black Friday. So how does it work? There's 3 different types of ad units that we have for businesses to highlight their proposition. The first one are pins and arrows, which are literally marking your business on the map, so that when you're driving by, there is that awareness for a local business. Zero-speed takeovers, so called because they appear when your car comes to a pause at a level crossing, crossroads, traffic lights for 4 seconds or more. This unit will appear, and this is really handy for branding opportunities, promotion-based creatives, awareness for footfall to local businesses. And the third is sponsored search ads. This is essentially to help capture intent. When people are specifically looking for your brand or your category, this will highlight, and the sponsored result means that you appear at the top of results and drive a much greater navigation rate. Because our formats offer local contextual information, it means that the ads contribute in what we feel is a very, very native way. It's relevant to drivers in a way that is absolutely in the moment relevant to them. We're able to do it because we know our drivers better than anybody else. We know that they are between 25 and 45, typically parents. They have a higher affordability than normal, which means they can afford that new Vauxhall Corsa or those Marks and Spencer's sausage rolls. We know that they're living in suburban areas, and they index heavily in home ownership, car ownership as well. We did want to put that to the test. So Forrester Consulting, third-party audit of our ad platform, proved that we can see a 17-to-1 return on ad spend, which is generated by an 8% increase in foot traffic because our pins and so on are driving footfall literally to local businesses, an increased conversion rate, so 13% higher conversion rate compared to non-Waze highlighted businesses, and an increased average order value of 7%, again backing up that higher household income that Waze users typically have. If any of you have driven with Waze before, you might also be familiar with our co-pilot proposition, which is essentially changing your navigation voice or the navigation car on the map to bring in different caricatures. So in the past, you may have driven with the Batmobile. More recently, earlier this year, you may have driven with Boy George's Karma Chameleon, or perhaps in recent weeks, you've driven around with Evie from Headspace. It's a proposition that's extremely exciting, and it is available to advertising as well. So in Mexico, you could drive with Sergio Perez, the Formula One driver. I'll just pause there.
In 5 minutes' time, the chimes of Big Ben will mark the beginning of the silence.
So in fact, I'm going to get interrupted twice, but that's okay. We have a few minutes. So yeah, as I said, Sergio Perez, brought to us by a company called Interprotection in Mexico, where he's obviously a local celebrity, navigating with his voice and a Formula One car. Or in the UK, you can be driven ho ho home by Santa, courtesy of Coca-Cola. Or any celebrity or creative caricature that you may have in your own businesses are of course welcome. But they complement our more traditional features. It is native because it's a feature that we have existing in the app, but it's a perfect way to create fun and engagement with a brand in a contextual way. So with Waze, you can reach a truly captive audience that traditionally only radio or out of home are reaching at that moment in the day. It allows you to really hit people while they are in their cars, on their journeys and so on. And we know that cars are here for the long haul. You can see on the chart here that tracking driven kilometers during the last few years. So the grey line is 2019. Then we had this very erratic ebb and flow during 2020 with, of course, the impact of COVID and lockdowns and so on. But the strong purple line there you can see, which is 2021 to date, a dramatic increase as people are turning away from public transport, trusting more in private cars. We know that the demand for private cars is much higher than it was previously. And of course, that does create a captive moment for people in their cars. 130% increase in drives for leisure, travel and errands in local areas that we're seeing through our Waze data. And what's more, we do know this trend is going to continue because of this opt-in for driving private cars. And it creates an opportunity. It is an opportunity for Waze to keep those cars moving more freely. But it's also an opportunity for brands to take advantage of speaking to drivers at exactly the right moment in their day. So we're connecting with drivers every step of the journey. We're making our roads a happier place. In a moment, I'm going to hand over to Ulyana here to talk a little bit more about how we are working specifically with brands and businesses in the automotive business. For now, thank you very much for listening to me. I'll hand over to Ulyana. We, I think, are about a minute away from a silence, so possibly it'll be a short stop. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Drew.
Oh, you're very kind. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ulyana. I'm an industry manager for automotive at Waze. So how do we actually work across the transportation industry? Right, we already discussed that how drivers' behavior is changing, especially after lockdowns. There is more mobility than ever. We've seen more use of the app than ever before this summer and changing mobility patterns. There are also bigger shifts that are coming with no pure petrol car ban by 2030. So what we do with our partners is we try to address those changes and help them to actually speak to the drivers and make in-drive media more relevant and more useful and actionable. So you can see that this year, actually, mobility is way above the level of not only 2020, which is, well, not that hard, but also of 2019. And there are various shifts in the driving behavior and which locations people are visiting. You can see a massive increase to fast food locations at the end of staycation in the last summer months, the up and downs in home store visits, and a consistent growth of visits of car dealerships and garages, which is supporting this trend of actually people shifting towards car and buying more cars at the moment. We can also see how commute is changing, right? So you can see here that there is much less of the morning commute and much more activity throughout the day. Thank you for a moment. So as I was saying, what we see a lot as well is how the commute is changing, right? How morning communities kind of becoming less and less drivers are on the road, and more mobility throughout the day. If you look at the purple line of the distribution of navigation by hours in 2019, you can see how much it's flatter if we're comparing to 2019 with those distinct peaks in the morning, midday, and evening. And whenever we work with our partners, we're trying to use those different mobility insights and data to fuel our projects, our campaigns, and our strategy. So what do we actually do with our different partners in transportations and auto? So with the partners like TfL, we're working together on making sure that users are safe in the country. And this resonated very well with the public because it created this real utility for the user and positioned BMW as a manufacturer that really plays a major part of shifting users towards electric. Another way that brands are trying to address those changes is actually looking at those stressful day-to-day moments, like when you're in traffic, the brand's talking about zero emission or quiet cabin that you can have when using an electric. So really showing how using an electric can be different towards a traditional car. Or actually doing some myth busting with those users who are on a long journey, right? Really speaking to them that actually they can make easily a journey of over 200 kilometers in electric charge to actually bring some peace of mind to the users who are afraid to get stuck with no charge somewhere in the middle of the field. And another trend that we see on Waze is ever-growing demand and visits to car dealerships and car services, which we've been observing actually throughout the whole of the second half of 2021. Interestingly, those categories are actually seeing plus 55% growth even versus 2019. And changes like this is something we're trying to work with OEMs and dealer groups on and trying to position them to best address the audience in a relevant and contextual way and drive traffic to their showrooms. So Vauxhall is one of our always-on partners, and of course, footfall is one of their core KPIs, especially during the sales event periods. So during that period, what they've done is they actually worked across the full funnel to first raise awareness about the event that is coming, and then shift towards a footfall driving activity to make sure they're maximizing the footfall over the course of the sales event. And this allowed them to achieve not only ad recall that is 60% above that of the industry, but also significantly increase the foot traffic to the dealerships, so footfall to the showrooms, and make them, Vauxhall, move them from top 8 to top 4th most visited dealer network on Waze. With Waze being the only in-drive digital media, we're trying to help solve the problem that a lot of traditional in-drive media like radio and out-of-home face, which is lack of measurability and lack of engagement. So what we do is we partner with companies like GTA and Global, out-of-home providers, to really help amplify their message, as well as allow drivers to engage with their ads and also provide a final measurement. Aligning in drive media actually brings this 1 + 1 = 3 effect. And this is something we've definitely seen with the Volkswagen commercial vehicles. We synchronize their radio ads with the Waze zero-speed takeovers, really creating this unique in-drive experience where the Wazers can hear the ad and then see it and engage with it in a short period of time. And this message resonated particularly well with VW CV's exact audience, with 88% of the driver stating that they would like to have a car from this brand in their fleet or business. And also, what's even more important, in the routine study that the companies conducted after the campaign, they see that their brand sentiment soared into 2-year high record. So today we've spoken about different changes in mobility, driver and consumer behavior, and other market shifts like move towards electrification. What we're proud of the most is really trying to be useful for our drivers, providing them as much information and making their journey as safe, as fast, as well as informative as possible. And working with various auto and transportation partners to support them in building this special connection is something that's at the core of our DNA. This completely different approach is actually what allows us to bring such strong results across different metrics and turn location into a destination. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.